My name is Stephen Shaylor. I've been a member of Eastside for 17 years. I was raised in a Baptist preacher's home. I cannot remember a time when I did not uh, believe in the truth or validity of the Bible and Scripture. I guess things started coming personal to me when I was about 6 years old. Don't remember exactly what had happened, but I remember sitting on my dad's lap and him showing me some scriptures and praying with him to receive Christ. A couple weeks later, being at church and going forward and presenting myself for baptism, and I was baptized. But growing up in a pastor's house, you know the scriptures inside and out. You know all the Bible stories, but you have a tendency to get kind of hardened to it, kind of cynical about the whole thing. And there's never really a time when I didn't believe, but there were times when I just wasn't all that interested. I mean, I was going to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, but it was more something I did than something that was a part of me. I remember being at a Bible camp when I was the summer between my junior and senior years in high school, and actually sitting in that camp in a class called personal evangelism, advanced personal evangelism, not really wanting to be there. And I always have this running conversation going on in my head. I was doing the same thing. Why am I here? Do I want to be here? And something kind of came in and said, yeah, why do you want to be here? You don't even believe this stuff. And by the end of that class, I was convinced that I wasn't saved. I was convinced that I had been, just faking it the whole time. I was certain that the ground was going to open up and swallow me at that time. I couldn't find anybody to talk to. I remember running back to my cabin. I couldn't find them. And then at the end of the evening, we always had a big service, right? But this time it wasn't a preaching service. It was a dramatic production. And at the end of the service, I went forward. My counselor came up to me and was like, because he was convinced, oh, you must be wanting to, commit your life to the Lord or surrender the mission field or something. And I said, no, I need to get saved and I know what I need to do. Again, I prayed. And I was a little worried because growing up, you always knew the kids that every summer rededicated their life to the Lord, that every year they got saved or something like that. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to be one of those kids. But I remember coming home and opening the door and walking in, and my mom's sitting there working on her needlepoint or whatever. And she just looks at me without saying anything. Well, what happened? And it kind of shocked me. And I told her the whole spiel. And she said, let's go get your dad. He wants to hear this. So we drove to where Dad was. He was teaching at a Bible college. And we got him. And he told me, he said, the other day, your mom and I were driving home, and we were very, very just concerned about you and about your life. And we pulled over to the side of the car, and we prayed. And by the time we ended our prayer, we just felt this peace that everything was going to be okay. I was, in some ways, that really validated. I mean, that was kind of validated my own experience to me. But years later, again, I was doing all the right things. I was focused on attending church, and I knew my Bible inside and out. But I was also kind of, the group we were in were very focused on a lot of external things, have the right haircut, dress right, be right, all those kind of things. And that just wasn't me. And I remember talking to a man, he's with the Lord now. He was Dr. J.B. Williams. He was a longtime missionary in French West Africa. And he tells me, he goes, have you not looked at Galatians, where Paul says that I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, but not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Therefore, I do not frustrate the grace of God, for if righteousness could be obtained through the law, then Christ died for nothing. And those were verses I'd heard all my life, right? But I was like, what do you mean frustrate the grace of God? If righteousness by the law, Christ gives. Right. You're looking to your faith needs no proof. You're looking for validation of your faith in some external, don't do that, do this. And your faith is Christ living in you. Is Christ living out his righteousness in you. And that just, even though I'd heard those verses all my life, that was just a real eye-opener experience for me. I was in my upper 20s by this time. And it just really kind of refocused my life. Those are my life verses now. And I've never been what I consider a super saint. I've had a lot of ups and downs, but I always go back to, Christ is in me and I'm crucified with Christ and he's living in me and he's living his life out in me. There's one thing that I am passionate about is understanding that it's all about grace, that it's the grace of God, that I don't bring anything to the table. And if it was up to me, I just wouldn't get there. If it was up to me to hold on to my salvation, I'd lose it. If it was up to me to, live out this Christian life, I couldn't do it on my own. It's all about the grace of God living in me. My name is Shaylor, and this is my story.